Guys, it's the Bring Commander, and I'm back for part 2 of I'm basically listing all of my favorite books, and I'm talking about these books because I feel like a lot of people just don't care about reading, and although I feel like, yes, I know there's a lot of books that just don't really, mean anything, there are some, really good ones that are basically little gold nuggets for me. So let's keep going. We left off in 11th place, which I have put Star Wars Tales of the Bounty Hunters. It's another non-canon Star Wars book, but, it doesn't really go against anything Disney has done, I don't think, so it's definitely worth your time. I didn't like the Tales from Jabba's Palace or whatever the other one was in that series. So there was the Bounty Hunters one, and then Jabba's Palace, and then there was one more. What was it? It doesn't matter. Anyways, the Tales of the Bounty Hunters, or the Tales of the Bounty Hunters, is one of my favorite Star Wars books. And however, this is worth the read and does not have anything outrageously non-canon, as these stories are all pretty original. My favorite story in this book is the one about IG-88. He kicks butt. While Bossk was really not the most interesting one I've ever seen, so I'd hold off on reading the Bossk story in that book. You could skip that one unless you're like a super determined Bossk lover, but I'm not really. So anyways, the next one is Star Wars Thrawn Alliances, which takes 12th place, as the first one wasn't as good. So you had Star Wars Thrawn, and then you had, because, all the Thrawn books were non-canon, and I know that because there's a reason for that, because it was kind of like a replacement of episodes 7 and 8, but with Admiral Thrawn. And I've held off on reading those, the original Thrawn novels, because I don't really want to ruin the thing that I have going right now. I have not read them and don't ever plan to, because I'm happy with how Thrawn was made in Rebels, and I'm happy what Timothy Zahn is giving us now in the new Thrawn novels. So I'm going to stick with that. So you have, in 12th place, Star Wars Thrawn Alliances, which is the second one where it pits Thrawn and Darth Vader together on a mission, as well as an older story about Thrawn and Anakin, which is really cool because I never lost interest, and it goes back and forth, and you're actually not disappointed because, they're doing a really good story, and then they take you to the other one, and you're like, bummer. Like, I really wanted to just read the one I was reading about Darth Vader and Thrawn. But then you realize that Anakin and Thrawn is like a legendary story too, so you're not disappointed to move on to that part and then keep going back and forth chapter to chapter between Anakin and Thrawn and Darth Vader and Thrawn. So that's why I really love that book, because if you can make me love that in a book, then you're doing really good. So then we have, let me see, I'm looking. I have in 13th place is the first, new Thrawn book called Star Wars Thrawn. Comes before Alliances, which was a bit less exciting and drags on a bit towards the middle of the story, but I would still recommend it as only, as any Thrawn fan will definitely enjoy it. But definitely you'll be looking forward to Thrawn Alliances with, Thrawn and Darth Vader on the front of it. And then it was just announced, a third one is coming in 2019, which I'm super excited for, and I can't even remember the name. How stupid is that? And then finally, no, not finally, I'm still going. In 14th place is Tarkin, also a Star Wars novel that gives the character Grand Moff Tarkin greater lore than ever before. That kind of rhymed. This is also a must read for any Star Wars fan. Tarkin, you get his feel throughout all the movies, but you don't know who he is, and you don't know where he comes from and what makes him the way he is, so hard, and he's still so awesome at the same time, and you really learn how he gets to be that way. It's an amazing story, really not too much like anything else I've read or watched, so it's definitely worth the read. Some of the, it goes back and forth between Tarkin's past and present, but it's kind of right after episode 3, so it's like him and Darth Vader kind of working together on a mission against so-called separatists, which were from the Clone Wars, but I don't really believe in that too much because we don't really know who these people are, even though they call themselves separatists from the Clone Wars, and then all of a sudden somehow they turned into like the rebels and stuff, and I didn't really like that. But all the stuff on Thrawn and Darth Vader working together, and then, or not Thrawn, I'm sorry, I keep talking about Thrawn. Tarkin and Darth Vader working together, and then Tarkin's past. So, read it. It's good. So, that's it. That's my lineup of the most important books you should read, besides the Bible, of course, because I'm a Christian, so the Bible is like the number one book that I should be reading. But other than the Bible, you should be reading these books. Or novels, in this case. For me, I hope I intrigued you enough for you to go to your local bookstore or library and get at least one of these books I mentioned. If you miraculously get through all of these books and want more, be sure to check out some of these honorable mentions, including the Maze Runner series, kind of a teen book series, and they actually made the 3 movies on, and now there's like 5 books or something, so there's plenty of those to read, and they're pretty entertaining and different than the movies. And then you have Star Wars Tales from Jabba's Palace, which I didn't love that much, but if you're a big Jabba fan, you know what? It was pretty interesting. The Mysterious Island by Jules Verne, and finally, Lords of the Sith, which wasn't my favorite, but you know what? It's okay because Darth Vader and the Emperor win it, and I don't own it just because of a few things I won't mention here. You'll just have to read it for yourself to find out why I didn't love it as much. And the story dragged on a little bit, and I felt like Darth Vader and the Emperor weren't given quite the personality that they actually have. So yeah, be sure to check that one out and tell me what you think. And then, actually, that one was a canon Star Wars novel that was written about the time Disney bought Star Wars. So what do you think? Are you going to read any of these? Do you think it's worth your time? Did you think I put the order right? Really, it's up to you if you read these books, but I definitely would have you read them if I was like an English teacher, because I want you to know that reading is important, and you should be happy to read because you can gain some intelligence that way and hopefully some enjoyment. So please, please, please check them out. Like the video to make me smile. Hit the little bell so you know when I'm not watching a movie. And I am the Marine Commander. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. And please, please, please try some out. It's definitely worth it. I promise it's worth it.